Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Welcome to episode 53 of the IT Career Energizer, a weekly podcast where I chat with inspiring IT professionals, consultants, and experts from around the world. To find out more about the podcast, visit itcareerenergizer.com. And remember to subscribe to get new episodes automatically downloaded to your device. And now let's chat with today's featured guest, Gene Kim. Gene has been researching high-performing technology organizations since 1999. He's a multiple award-winning CTO, Tripwire founder, co-author of the DevOps Handbook, the Phoenix Project, and Visible Ops. Gene is also a DevOps researcher and a certified IS auditor, as well as being passionate about IT operations, security, and compliance, and how IT organizations successfully transform from good to great. So, Gene, can I ask you to expand on that bio and tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I was laughing at the bio that is a little bit outdated. Yeah. So my certified IS auditor has lapsed so many years ago, and it's the love area of interest for me has been studying high-performing technology organizations. And that was a journey that started back when I was the founder and CTO of a company called Tripwire. And so I was there for 13 years. And, back in 1999, those organizations, looked like New York Stock Exchange and the VeriSign DNS serving infrastructure. These days, it looks like Google, Amazon, Facebook. And so, you can imagine there were many surprises in that journey. But by far the most rewarding and surprising part of the journey is that how it's taken me into the middle of the DevOps movement, which I think is urgent and important. And holy cow, is it a great time to learn, especially when you're in a field like DevOps.
Yes. I mean, to me, DevOps is something I've almost seen before. If you go back sort of 20 odd years, companies or IT software development companies seem to be working more cohesively, and DevOps was part of what they did. They just didn't call it that. And I feel that we've gone a little bit full circle with DevOps.
Yeah, indeed. For sure. I think there were many of the technical practices and certainly the cultural norms, maybe 20 years ago, people find that very familiar. But I think there are some genuinely new things like cloud and Docker that, are making possible things that were just never possible before. And all those combine just amazingly in this way that, we can do things like deploy hundreds, even thousands of times per day while preserving world-class reliability, security, and stability. So, again, it's just such a great time to be in technology.
Yes, absolutely. So, Gene, can you share a unique career tip that the IT Career Energizer audience need to know and maybe don't?
Yeah, I don't know about unique, but I do love this one quote that someone said to me once. They said, "You're the average of the top." You are only the average of the top 5 people you hang out with, and I think the context was you're only as smart as the top 5 people that you hang out with. And it turns out that this is actually true for almost all the functional and non-functional attributes of life, whether it's skill level, health, fitness, happiness, wealth. And in fact, I think it actually originates from Napoleon Hill that says he made the observation 100 years ago, your net worth is the average of the top 5 people you hang out with. And I can personally attest to the notion that, peer group has a disproportionate role in, predicting outcomes. And, for me, it was, the journey leading up to the Phoenix Project, which came out in 2013, and the DevOps Handbook, which came out in 2016. Or 17, studying these people leading DevOps transformations through the DevOps Enterprise Summit. It's just there's nothing that gives me more joy and I find more meaningful. And there's no place where I learn as much from hanging out with these people that are the best in the game. And so I think. Concretely, there's just never been a better time for anyone in technology to find that incredible peer group that will help them with the achievement of, not just what they're working on this year, but potentially for every endeavor for the rest of their life with meetups and conferences, podcasts like this.
Yep.
Our ability to find and communicate and have interactions with fellow travelers. It's never been easier.
Yeah. So your advice to people would be to seek out those individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if there's sort of mutually exothermic activities that you can actually do with those people, where one is helping each other, that is. It's certainly much easier now than it was, even 10 years ago, certainly 20 years ago.
Yeah, no, definitely. Can you maybe share the story of your worst IT career moment with us?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, by the way, and just on that last note, I love this notion, right? The only way you'll never turn into a level 30 death mage if you're hanging out with level 3 thugs, right? Yeah. So the trick is, how do you find those people? Even if you are only a level 3 thug, you hang out with enough level 3 death mages, right? The law of averages will pull you up. Worst career moment. I think for me, that would be around 1991 when I lost my job at the Purdue University Computing Center. So that's where I got my undergraduate in computer science. And I was working there half-time. And there was this project that a group of us were working on. We were trying to find hash collisions. So these were the days of MD5 hashes. It was just coming into more widespread use. One-way cryptographic signatures, and there was actually a contest of could you find two sets of input that generate the same hash function. And so some of us were working on massively parallel computers, trying to do it mathematically. And one of the things I wanted to do was to see in real life, are there any collisions just on the population of files that you find on computers. And being one of the system administrators for the computing center, we had access to all the files. So kind of in an imprudent decision, I wrote a shell script, I think it was a Perl script, to basically every day, hash all the files on all systems that I had access to, and just look for put them into a database and look for collisions. And I think I did that for months until one day I made a change to that Perl script, and then accidentally touched every file on every system. Right. And I would have gotten away with that too, but it turns out that something happened over the weekend where for the first time in 30 years, they ran out of backup tapes in the computing center. So Monday morning. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that Monday morning, I got called into Kevin Smallwood's office, my boss, and was notified that my employment with the Purdue University Computing Center had come to an end. That was a pretty significant event for me, since that was where my income was coming from.
Yes.
I was a sophomore, I think. But it did lead to something really quite good, though, which is that I immediately had more time on my hands, and I asked Dr. Gene Spafford in the computer science department whether I could take an independent study project with him, and worked on a project that eventually became Tripwire, which over the years became, certainly by 1995, became one of the most widely used security tools for Unix. By the way, I will point out there's an interesting irony that even though I lost my job for an unauthorized, imprudent change, that is actually kind of at the heart of what Tripwire did as a research project, which is kind of detect, unauthorized, unwanted file changes, for Unix systems. So recognize the irony there.
Indeed, yes. Can you take us maybe to your career highlight or greatest success and tell us about that?
Yeah, I think for me, certainly the most gratifying part of my career so far has been co-authoring the Phoenix project. And so I was at Tripwire for 13 years. I was serving as the chief technology officer. And I decided to leave in 2010, right in the middle of our IPO filing. This was after my twins were born. And it was really this desire to write this novel that's based on my favorite book called The Goal by Dr. Eliyahu Goldratt. And so in this book, in The Goal, it's been integrated into almost every mainstream MBA curriculum. It's a novel about a manufacturing plant manager who has to fix his cost and due date issues in 90 days. Otherwise, they shut the plant down. And so that's credited for probably being one of the most significant influences in making the lean manufacturing concepts mainstream. And so for decades, we wanted to write The Goal, but for the IT context. And that's really what the Phoenix Project is, just showing how those same principles can be applied not just to manufacturing, but to the entire technology value stream. And so I just love that, it's become, the Phoenix Project is almost part of the DevOps, not curriculum, but it's sort of the gestalt of the DevOps journey for many, many people. And so after that, it was equally rewarding to be able to create a nonfiction companion guide about the DevOps Handbook, not just for the unicorns of Google M's on Facebook, but increasingly, every large complex organization is adopting DevOps principles and practices.
So what excites you about the future of the IT industry and careers in IT?
Yeah, Phil, I think one of the things that you alluded to that I'll definitely resonate and expound upon is that so many things, even though one can argue we've come full circle in many ways, there are so many things in technology that are being upended. Whether it's I think the world of QA is changing, the world of operations is changing, and increasingly, I think what's different is that one has to be able to be a developer, right? Developer is not just for application developers, but increasingly it's QA engineering, ops engineering, and I think that on the one hand can create a lot of angst and genuine fear as people ask questions like, "What does this do to my career? Can I get another job without having to radically reskill myself?" But I genuinely believe that the best days of all engineering, whether it's dev, QA, operations, information security, the best days are ahead of us, not behind us. And it's never been a better time to be a learner. So
I think you're touching on an important point about learning, and I think continuous learning is part of it. You need to embrace it and not be afraid of it. I think that's one of the keys, particularly as we're evolving all the time.
Oh, for sure, right. And I don't want to. I think it's impossible to overstate just how much fear there can be of learning. In fact, a friend of mine, Tom Limoncelli, he's the author of the Cloud Administration book, ex-Google, now at Stack Exchange, and he said, isn't it interesting in operations? There's this kind of fork in the road. Down one path, if we don't reskill ourselves, our salary goes down by half, because the only job we can get is working at the Genius Bar at the Apple Store. But down the other path, if we have the right skills, our salary doubles. Because we have the hottest skills in the marketplace. And so, I just, it's not just good for learning's sake, but it's an incredibly vibrant time to be in technology.
Yes.
In fact, just as a quick aside, one of the things that I've been having a lot of fun learning myself, for many, I would say almost a decade, I've really self-identified as an ops person, despite having gotten my graduate degree in compiler design and networking. But I'm starting to, more than ever, self-identify as a developer again. And I've just thrown myself into this learning Clojure as a Lisp-like functional programming language with immutability. And it's the most challenging thing I've ever learned. I probably spent 40 hours reading before I wrote a single line of code. Productivity has hit all-time lows, but it is something that I've gotten just such joy out of because I think I'm a much better programmer now. And it's, there's just a support structure and, the libraries that are available now. You can do so much with so little. So I can certainly resonate with the difficulty of learning and yet the undeniable rewards of learning.
And we're going to go into the reveal round now. Are you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
So what first attracted you to a career in IT?
I was, it was 1986. maybe 1987. I was in high school, and I was giving a project at a science fair, and I got recruited by Dr. Rob Kolstad to do a summer internship at Sun Microsystems, and so I got to be a system administrator and got to learn programming, Perl and C, and I wrote file system QA suites for the SunOS kernel. And so that was sort of my introduction to, like you, kind of came in through QA. So, yeah.
What is the best career advice you've ever received?
Yeah, I think, very much to extend the story about this summer internship. I think the lesson that I learned sort of implicitly from that is when someone asks, especially earlier in your career, what career advice would you give? I think it's really to find that mentor, because someone, when in the early stages of one's career, you really don't know what you're good at, and you don't have enough context to know what those talents are good for. And so you have to find someone who can actually kind of inventory you and find your unique skills and gifts, and they have enough problems to work on to throw you at. And so, I think in my case, it was Dr. Rob Kolstad at Sun Microsystems. It was working with Dr. Gene Spafford at Purdue, which eventually turned into something called Tripwire. So, I think the best thing to do is, if you have enthusiasm, if you have skills you want to deploy, find that person who has lots of problems to work on, so that they can benefit from your enthusiasm, your skills, your labors. And, that is, I think, in the beginning, kind of the best mutually exothermic relationship you can have.
If you were to begin your IT career again right now, what would you do?
Oh, my goodness. I recently went to the Closure Conj. That's the Closure conference. And boy, you know what? It would just be, this is a space I would want to be in, specifically around machine learning. There's just so much, it is an insatiable appetite for anything dealing with how do we sort of take all this data and make better informed decisions out of it. Whether it's to immediately make money or on the hopes of making money, whether it's, for a large complex organization or whether it's from a startup, these are skills that I would say supply is dwarfed by demand. So I think, and chances are you're going to be surrounded with incredibly smart and talented people, which, again, fulfills, I think, one of the objectives we talked about before.
What career objectives are you focusing on right now?
Besides becoming a better Closure programmer, it's really continue to become a better writer and researcher. I think what I found is that I get an amazing amount of intrinsic reward out of the writing process and publishing books, and so I've kept a daily burn up chart for 7 years. Showing kind of the word count of the Phoenix Project, DevOps Handbook, everything I've written. I'm relearning the discipline it takes to, write even 800 words a day, which I think is probably one of the best predictors of whether someone will become a writer or not. Right.
Is that a typical benchmark?
I don't know about typical, but I do love this phrase, 2CPPD, right? The trick to writing is to write 2 crappy pages per day. So, that's about 800 words. And I found that to be the case. If I can hit that target, I will leave a week feeling like I've actually accomplished a great deal.
Yes. Yeah. What's the number one non-technical skill that has helped you in your career so far?
Yeah, I think it would be learning to say what you really think, and not really worried about what other people will think about that. In other words, I think regardless of the context, whether it's within a team, within an organization, in a corporate setting, in informal team settings, it really does. I think I've always admired people who can really say what they think and do it in a way that they don't come off like a pompous butthead, but someone who genuinely cares about the goals. Yeah, so I can point to many points in my career where I hadn't yet. I was just too afraid to do that, and so I think that comes through practice, and is something that it can be learned. I think some people are just born with it, but I think there are a lot of us who we're not lucky to be born with it, but we're able to learn it.
Yep. Gene, can you share a parting piece of career advice with the IT Career Energizer audience?
Yeah, I would go back to the opening question, which is do a fearless moral inventory of the people you're hanging out with, and see whether you're at the average, below, or above it. And I think there were points of time in my career where I had to actually go actively seek out smarter people. Because you just never want to be the smartest person in the room, right? It says that you're in the wrong room.
And finally, what's the best way we can find out more about you and connect with you?
Yeah, the best way, I think, is Twitter. So at Real Gene Kim, and that's probably the best way to reach me.
Great. Gene, thanks so much for joining me on the IT Career Energizer podcast today. It's been great chatting with you.
Likewise, keep up the great work, and I'm so glad that we were finally able to do this in 2018.
My thanks go to Gene for being my guest on today's show. Full show notes can be found at itcareerenergizer.com/E53. In the next episode, I'll be talking with Dan Warlin, a Pluralsight author, Microsoft Regional Director, and conference speaker. You can get this and future episodes automatically downloaded and available to play by simply subscribing to the podcast in iTunes or whichever streaming service you're using to listen. Have a great week, and remember, if you're not growing your career, you're slowing your career.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.